Good guys, my name is Lord Toma. Welcome again to another Sonic the Hedgehog toy item collectible review. As you already know, I am Lord Toma and this is my channel. It's definitely been a while, hasn't it? But yeah, so I recently pretty much put a poll out there and I said, hey guys, what do you guys want me to review? You know, what's currently the market out there? And a lot of you guys wanted plushes, were the ones that did vote. So I figured that's what I'm going to be all about. So until I work on my other projects that I have lined up, this is pretty much going to be the shtick of my channel for now. And of course, been such a while, let's get into the actual review itself because, you know, that's what we're here for. This is a Jakks specific classic Sonic the Hedgehog plush. I say classic because obviously it's classic and they have released a modern. So there is a clear distinction. Now I am technically 2 years late in these reviews because, like I said, this plush itself, this way in particular, was released 2 years ago. So you can check out those reviews, but if you're here, I'm guessing you're here because you want to see want to hear the Australian, take on this plush itself, which, what can I say? Us Aussies are known to be the better reviewers. Probably, I don't know. You guys probably don't like it, I don't know. But we're here. If you're here, you're here. So yeah, this is the Jakks specific classic Sonic the Hedgehog plush. Now, straight out of the bat, absolutely phenomenal plush. There are some shortcomings, which I will address later on. But yeah, let's get into it. Now, before we get into my thoughts on the pros and cons and all that fun stuff, I just want to make clear that you can actually still purchase this even 2 years after at Target. That's where I purchase it. So if you're an Australian, target.com.au, you can purchase it online. I'm sure you can purchase it anywhere in the world, depending on your novelty store. America, I think it's Target. They have other stores of here up in Australia. Target.com.au. If you want to use eBay or Amazon, definitely out there. So it's very common, very receptive in terms of getting your hands on it, which is awesome. But if you're Australian, Target.com.au is where I purchased it, and which is what I recommend to get it. So let's get into the review itself. This is the Jakks specifics take on the design itself. So any major manufacturer licensing that takes over the Sonic licensing for merchandise, they always have their kind of like, what's the wording for it? Their own style, which is, I always welcome that because I never want to purchase the same looking plushies year in, year out, because then when people look at it, they'll be like, why are you purchasing doubles? And that's not always the case. That's not what I'm a big fan of. I like stylized versions. Not too crazy, but enough to be like, well, that's from Jakks specific, that's from Tommy, that's from Great Eastern Entertainment, etc., etc. So, if you have a look, he is absolutely adorable. You cannot go wrong with it. If you look at his eyes, just get in, you can see it's all stitching, and the eyes itself is all stitching, which is absolutely superb. I've always liked that in these sort of plushes, simply because some plushie manufacturers, let's see, there we go. Some manufacturer plushies, they tend to put stickers just to save cost, and from I guess from a collector's point of view, or somebody who wants to maintain the quality of the plushies, stickers, they degrade over time, whereby actual stitching, unless you absolutely throw this against the rock 1,000 times, it's never going to go. So the stitching on the eyes is superb. The stitching around the eyelids as well is absolutely superb. And as you can see itself, I don't know if you'll be able to focus on that. You can see the stitching of the mouth is there as well, which I think is absolutely, like I said, absolutely phenomenal that they do it. You have his adorable little ears. There's no stuffing in it. There's just material that's wrapped around and stitched around. No issues there. It doesn't have to be fluffy or anything. Absolutely cute. And there is, of course, stitching around the inner part of the earlobe. And you can see just by the face itself, and of course you have the 3 spikes here. Well, the head itself is all stuffed and fat, which is a bonus. So you can tell by his face as though, it's the classic Sonic the Hedgehog. You cannot go wrong there. Now, if you look at the back though, there isn't any, of course, markings for his spikes. Sonic is known to have spikes on the back of his head, except the back of his backpack, which makes it look like more like wings than anything else. And you have his fat little stubby little tail there, which I think is pretty adorable. Now, if it was any other company, I probably would have an issue with that because Sonic is known for his quills. But the fact that Jakks specific is going for their own stylized version of the classic Sonic, I have no issues with that at all because, it's its own take. You can't be super critical, especially when it comes to these sort of plush. Unless you display him on the back, then I guess you would have an issue with that. But Obviously, I don't have display. It's always at the front, and the front is always the most impactful thing as well. Unless you're one of those people who like to do those plushy animations where they do it like from the back shot, I can see an issue with this. But from a display purpose, absolutely great. You have his fat little belly there, stitched perfectly in two materials. Great. You have his little arms, which aren't stuffed around the arm, but they are stuffed around the actual fist itself. And it's pretty much just one material. Let's go. I don't know if it will focus on that because it's purely all white. Maybe you can see. Well, there it was. There you go. So you can see the stitching around the hand. It looks a bit chunky, I will admit, but it's literally just one material wrapped around and it's 3 stitchings to give it the illusion of a hand. Being that of the price of this plushie itself, I think it is pretty much, understood that shortcuts need to be made. You don't expect a high super premium plushie to be made and to be at a full price. Generally speaking, with most things, the higher the price, the better the quality should be. So for the price of this, it's pretty decent, which I will discuss the price later on. Pardon me. So this is exactly a both arm. And you have, of course, these stumpy little legs, which I love stumpy little Sonic head legs. This is more like Child Sonic than anything else. And, of course, you have his boot and his buckle. Buckle is just a material. Some people like it to be flushed out. Me, I think it adds to the charm of the actual plastic itself. And here, it's kind of like a fake leather-ish material there, which isn't an actual material polyester or anything. It feels more like a fake kind of like pleather, fake leather sort of marking. But the buckle itself, some manufacturers tend to put like a sticker. I don't. I'm not a big fan of stickers personally, but this one is absolutely superb, and it adds a little charm. It adds to the little chunkiness of the plush itself. As has been mentioned at the back, there is his butt covered by this massive thing, and of course it carries over, and there's the sole of his shoes. Now, overall, the plush itself is absolutely adorable in terms of its design. Now, the shortcomings, the shortcoming follows through to what is I kind of avoided talking about, but I will talk about it now. There's this little hashtag, which is absolutely massive. There's Sonic the Hedgehog. You have the word Sonic. You open it up, it's just a bunch of obligatory information. They could have capitalized it and added a bunch of Sonic information, like who Sonic is, where he's from, what's his mission, etc., etc. But honestly, that's just a bunch of advertising information at the back. I'm not going to, focus on that because it's boring. So this takes a lot real estate on his actual body for more of a purist collector. If you don't care about it, rip it off. Hey ho, away you go, right? But for me, I like to keep things intact, and this just makes it look so I like to keep it at the back. I would have preferred, seeing as they don't put, spikes at the back, that this should have been placed at the back somewhere, personally. But I get why they put it there. If you're in the store market, you'll be like, hey mom, this is Sonic. So yeah. Now the second issue that that I tend to have is this is other. So that's his tag. This is his hashtag. And you have the word Sonic the Hedgehog, just a bunch of information, which is obligatory for most plushies. It's too massive. Like it's coming out of his butt. It's like he's shitting out his little hashtag there. Not a big fan of that, to be honest. I would have preferred that to be much smaller. Its location is not bad. I mean, it works. I mean, you wouldn't want to put it somewhere in the stomach or anything. But the back, I'm not a big fan of it, Now, the other issue that I have is purely from a display point of view. If you're a kid that wants to play around with it, awesome, no issue. But from a collector's point of view, I like to have him on display. And he's got no real physical way to actually sit down, or let alone stand up. Most plushies you can't stand them off, but generally most plushies are designed in a way where you can have him sit down. But this one, if you want to have him sitting down, you have to have him pressed against the wall, which I'm not a big fan of that personally. But I am willing to overlook it if they have, for example, a lanyard string, like basically a string coming out of the head, so you can actually hang it, right? I'm not going to talk about these companies, but other companies, they do have that, which I don't know what the cost-benefit analysis to that is, but I would imagine it doesn't cost that much. This doesn't come with a lanyard string, so you can't even hang it. So most times, unless if you're a person that likes to display, it's literally going to be pressed against the wall or something, because he does not sit on his own, which is very, very disappointing. I would have preferred either, you know, a little string so you can hang it, or have it have the capacity to sit on itself. I would have preferred if his tail was a little bit bigger and being able to say sit there. You can somehow make it sit there if you use, for example, the hashtag, but that's a lot of balancing trick because that's generally not going to be working 100% of the time. But overall, it's a nice plush. The criticism I have for it is more subjective. It's not objective. By that I mean it really depends on you, on the person, and how you, you know, kicking around, how you basically want to mess around with this plush. It's gorgeous. I cannot take, especially from the other series, which I'm going to go through the whole entire series of this particular series. Did I just repeat myself? But it is gorgeous. How much did I purchase? You can actually get this, like I said, from Target and major place, but you're looking at Australian dollars, $16 Australian dollars. It could be less in America. I think maybe 10, maybe. It really depends up. If you're an American, drop, leave a comment on how much more or less you got yours. But if you want to buy in Australia, $16. That's whereabouts. Anything more, yeah, you're looking at scalper prices for something that's exactly common. So yeah, it's very, very worth it. $16 is definitely worth it for, especially a series of this nature. Absolutely adorable. Now, rarity. Let's talk about rarity. I'm all about rarity in my collection / reviews. To be honest, you can get this anywhere. You can still buy this even 2 years after the initial release. You can still buy this from Target. You can buy this from eBay. You can buy this anywhere. This guy's everywhere. There's no way you would not be able to get this. And you'll be able to get this pretty much anywhere. I laugh because, I'm not going to say this is the most legendary rare item ever. It might, in 5 years' time, it may be that in 5 years' time, this just becomes impossibly hard to find. I don't know. But currently, super common. So I'm going to give this 1 coin out of 10. So 1 out of 10. So it's not super crazy rare. It's not super crazy hard to find, but it is common enough for you to get it. And it's definitely worth it. Guys, what do you think of this plush itself? Do you actually have it? Would you actually buy this series? Because I think this is a phenomenal series, besides the shortcoming where he can't even sit on his own ass, or you can't string him. But it's actually adorable. It's actually kind of like the whole chibiness. There's a whole bunch of series that try to capture it. I think this one really does it well. Anyway, guys, thank you for checking out this review. Leave a comment below if you like what you do. Or like what you do. Leave a comment if you like what I've done. And until next time, I will definitely be making more reviews of this series. I like the new format that I'm going with. Guys, take care, speed on, and until next time,